Good afternoon, excuse me, glasses. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going again to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, again, in a lot of pain, allergies, it sucks getting old, folks. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Just call me the cranky old autistic already, and let's call it good. In the description box, you're going to find the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has pending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to fund public libraries to actually do his job. And you got a governor, what can I say about our governor, who hasn't already said something? The man's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The man lost his marbles in the 80s. If he had marbles to begin with, send help. Please read that article, share it on all your social media. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center petition, and of course the article we're getting about to read. This is coming from the Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network, AWN, with the cash line, neurodiversity is for everyone. Literally, neurodiversity means everybody. Neurodivergent means me. So, let's get into it, shall we? Stop the Shock, Why We All Support Andre's Law by Tony Alexander, May 13th, 2022. Last week, Lydia X.Z. Brown, if that sounds familiar, it should. She's the one who's got the massive archive on the JRC. And I traveled to Albany, New York to speak at a press conference within the New York State Capitol. We urged state legislators to pass New York Senate Bill 8935, which we just went over, named Andre's Law for Andre McCollins, a survivor of abuse at the Judge Rotenberg Center. This long overdue bill, long overdue bill, sponsored by Senator Jabari Brisport and Assembly's member Harvey Epstein and Joanne Simon in the Assembly, would prevent the state from financially supporting institutions that use harmful treatments. If the bill becomes law, the state will cease sending New York residents to institutions that employ electric shock devices and other types of aversive therapy. I place therapy in quotation marks because there's nothing therapeutic or healing about aversive treatment. It's corporal punishment, folks. If you don't see that, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe that I got beachfront property in Kansas with an amazing ocean view? because that's the level of stupid I have to think that you are if you support this insanity. Aversive treatment, which subjects people to punishment for subjective undesired behavior, is widely recognized as cool and ineffective practice. Again, fear only lasts so long. Everyone with a brain knows this. Only one institution out of all the hospitals, schools, and residential facilities within the U.S. is known to employ electric shock aversive treatment. This institution is the Judge Rotenberg Center, JRC, in Canton, Massachusetts. So why is New York's Andre's Law essentially targeting a Massachusetts institution? How are they related? Well, the state of New York, which banned aversive treatment in its own state borders in 2005, imagine that, folks, that's literally the year after I graduated. Year after I graduated. The fight's been going on since the 1980s. We're tired. Has spent approximately $100 million over the last decade sending disabled people to out-of-state facilities, including JRC. Furthermore, many of the people at JRC are black and brown disabled people. Matter of fact, 52% as of 2018, JR students' body is black, 27% Latino or Latinx, compared to only 17% who are white. Data on the adults who are sent to the JRC is unknown. Andre's Law is named after the black autistic youth, Andre McCollins, who in 2002 was restrained for 7 hours and shocked 31 times for refusing to take his coat off. Let me add in here a few details. He was strapped face down with a sensory deprivation helmet put on his head while they were doing this. Could have easily died of asphyxiation. The shocks inflicted burn wounds on Andre's arms and legs. So much for Dr. Israel's "it doesn't cause harm." You can watch or listen to the video clip of Andre experiencing the shocks here, but please take care as the footage is graphic and gruesome. The National Association of State Directors of Developmental Disability Services called for a ban on electrical stimulation devices due to their painful and coercive effects on disabled people. The Food and Drug Administration also found that aversive treatments worsen people's physical and mental health by giving rise to anxiety, depression, PTSD, burns, and tissue damage. As a result, the FDA attempted to enact a ban in March 2020, which was unfortunately vacated by the U.S. Court of Appeals over the lack of statutory authority, notwithstanding the FDA's findings on the treatment of negative health impacts. Moreover, nearly 10 years ago, the then Special Rapporteur on Torture for the United Nations, Juani Mendez, expressed great concern over JRC and its use of aversive treatment. In a Human Rights Council, Mendez stated that corporal punishment can be deemed torture or cruel, degrading, and inhumane treatment. Matter of fact, it helped spawn the Convention on Treatment of People with Disabilities that literally every single sovereign nation has signed except for two: Iran and the United States. Let's give you some context here. He also linked aversive treatment and its disparate use on people from marginalized groups, thereby calling into question the treatment's necessity and discriminatory impact. Former UN Special Rapporteur on Torture from 2004 to 2010, Manfred Novak, also described aversive treatment as torture. New York sends more people to JRC than any other state. This is what I mean when I say we're attacking their wallet. It is past time for New York to demand that its most vulnerable residents be treated with dignity and respect, and refuse to support institutions that use aversive treatment. This is a crucial moment for New York to show its residents, public and private institutions, including JRC, other states in the world, that it recognizes the severe harm that JRC has inflicted on disabled people, and that the state is ready to stop funding institutions that abuse disabled people. The press conference featured AWN's founding executive director, Sharon Dan Vanport, who joined virtually with a prepared statement. Additional speakers and organizers include Senator Jabari Brisport, Democrat, Brooklyn; State Assembly Member Harvey Epstein, Democrat, Manhattan; Assemblymember Joanne Simon, Democrat, Brooklyn; disability rights activist Cheryl McCollins, mother of Andre McCollins; disabilities rights attorney and advocate Shane Neuermeyer, Chaplain Naomi Jones of the National Action Network, and President of the 504 Democratic Club, Mike Schweizenberg. I encourage you all to read more about the JRC and the harm of adversive treatment. Lydia has curated an extensive living archive, which we have linked in the description box, folks, about the JRC. If you are a New York resident, now, folks, now's the time. We can hit them where it hurts. We can hit them where it hurts them the most. We can take away those resources they've used to corrupt their own state. Help us. Now is the time to reach out to your representatives and ask for their support. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network created a helpful toolkit to find and contact your New York State senators and assembly members. But even if you aren't a New York resident, you can still make a difference by letting loved ones who live in New York know about Andre's Law and posting about it on social media. Together, let's get this Stop the Shock legislation passed. That puts it bluntly, folks, when we say we've been reaching out and reaching out and reaching out and reaching out, this is what I'm talking about. We've gotten very little support out there in society at large. People like to brush unpleasant things under the rug and not think about them, but we need you to do so. We deserve better than to live in fear. We deserve better than the kids of this current disabled generation having to fear places like the JRC, like Agape, like Kanakuk Camp. We deserve better. We deserve your support. You either support survivors or you don't. This is the put up or shut up moment. This is where, as they say in Tolkien, you show your quality. We're going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.